It wasn't terrible. There were some points in my heart rate, my blood oxygen level was off like 4 levels. That was really scary. And I was in the hospital.
I keep thinking when I ride by Walmart or some other place, I remember you and Eva, you had double strollers and the mattress stores. I can never forget that. And you wrote me that nice letter about it. I got it with the door.
Yeah, and the little
together to recognize and celebrate the life of Josephine, also known as Mom and Nana. She was 93 years young and gave up her earthly body August 17th and gained her perfect heavenly body as declared in the Bible, which she believed in. She also wore the titles in intervals in her life as granddaughter, daughter, sister, aunt, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, and last but not least, dear friend. She was a strong believer in family bonds. I could go on for days how she loved each individual family member as in a special way. After any visit, she would remark what a nice boy or girl, no matter how old they were. She cherished family. I could not have raised my children or myself without her help. There were times when I would call her daily to call to help me out when I couldn't leave work, and she would jump at the chance because it meant she got to spend more time. And she loved me. There were so many times she would hold me up when I felt weak. She believed in me even when I didn't believe, and she would encourage me to find the strength within. She loved her family dinners, which you might have attended. You might have been encouraged or guilted into coming. If you mentioned you had other plans, all I'd have to say is, this is what Nana wants, and all other plans would be changed. When everybody left for the night, and the house was quiet again, her heart would be overflowing, and her comments, but what a wonderful evening it was. And she would say it until she fell asleep, but she also never forgot to thank me and all who helped for all the hard work putting it together. She knew because she did it for so many years. At Christmas, she would prepare for days, canapes, many other delightful foods, and her signature trifle. This one time a year you were allowed to have alcohol-soaked pound cake. Only fine china, glassware, and polished silver were permitted. Family and guests would all dress up. What seemed like chores and details that were excessive are all precious memories now. She loved God's natural beauty and rarely missed an opportunity to verbally admire what she saw, whether on a drive, a walk, or just sitting somewhere with flowers in view. We would walk around the neighborhood nightly, which sometimes would seem repetitious for me, but she would point out all the pretty flower gardens as if seeing them for the first time. I would secure the cat bed on the lap, as in that picture, during our walks. We must have been quite a sight. A woman in a wheelchair, Gabby cat on her lap, adorned with flowers, just like in the picture, while all the way being encircled by my brother on his mini bike, keeping pace. She would repeat many times what a good girl Gabby was and how she loved her cats and couldn't imagine being without them. Bibi, her cat, who usually never leaves the house, was faithfully by her side whether she was at home, sitting in the chair, or in bed, and was by her side, paw outstretched to her face when she took her last breath. Once I planned a trip to New Jersey. It's kind of funny story, but at the time, as it drew near, she regretted to leave, or I can't think of the word there. I packed the car, and I packed without her knowing, and had her sit in the back seat and put her cat on the lap and told her we had to take her to the vet. Half an hour into the journey, she commented, "This vet sure is far." And that's when I told her, surprise, we're going to New Jersey. She just laughed, much to my relief, and we ended up having a marvelous, memorable vacation. On our 20-plus hours, we got to share many stories. I wish I paid more attention to the details of her childhood ones. The one story she repeated was the love she had for her grandfather, who I feel planted the seeds of adventure and the desire to learn about the world. She loved taking college courses and usually got the best grades in the class of students half her age. She loved traveling, and thankfully, her daughter, my sister, Eloise, was a stewardess and afforded her the ability to see many countries. She was extremely proud of her heritage, a courageous 18-year-old who came to a new country during war times, not knowing anyone except the American soldier she met in England, my dad, who brought her to New York City to be his bride. Even though she had been in America over 70 years, whenever she mentioned back home, she was referring to England. My mom and I had a ritual we did in the morning which she loved. She would read a devotion, look up the verses, and we'd read a story from Chicken Soup for the Soul. It was a feel-good way to start the day. Recently, I stopped reading out of busyness.
Out of what? Oh,
Busyness.
yeah.
This is one of my regrets. For the special people in your life, make time for those moments and less time for regrets. My mom's favorite book in the Bible was John because she said it meant love. John 16:22. So also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. It is impossible to share 65 years of special moments with my mom in this service. So I will end my part, and anyone, if you'd like to say or share anything, please come up and speak loudly so all can hear. Then we will end the service with my brother taking some of the ashes that are in my mom's favorite teapot. And it's a teapot that's broken, and she loved that teapot, and that's kind of how she looked at us. We're all broken, but she loved us. It didn't matter how we were broken. My brother Phil will scatter some of the ashes in the sea grapes location. If anyone needs a ride, we can ride someone up there, and so you don't have to walk. It's just on the other side of that. My dad's ashes there, Joe's ashes there, and Richard's ashes are there. One of my mom's requests is to have some of her ashes sprinkled on her grandfather's grave in England, which will be honored. Some certain family members will also be given some. And the remaining location will be in New Jersey, one of her favorite spots overlooking Lake Mohawk, at a place you can sit on a beach, at a bench on the boardwalk, and soak in the peacefulness and memories of the sweet times spent there. Thank you all for loving my mom, all you people that have part in her life. Thank you. And for all who came by my side to pick up the pieces. Thank you. And you're all very special to me. Unfortunately, Chris, he did a lot of work on a video with music, and it just didn't work out. So if anyone wants, I can forward the video to you that he has. Thank you, Sam, made all the food they did. Thank you, Sam and Shayna. I'm sorry, Shayna and Sam. Thank you so much for that. And Tony taking over with beverages. Anybody who needed anything, Devin. When I said I'm going to pick up the ashes, I'll come with you. But I told him I needed to unsurprise, so I didn't want anyone. But I could just keep on thanking everyone for being here. Thank you for coming to celebrate her life with her. And I'm just going to end this with one more scripture from John. Peace I leave you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. And that's it. So, thank you. If anyone wants to add anything or say anything, and then I'll open it up. I know you're not getting off, so
Josephine was one of the kindest, most beautiful people I've ever met. Part of it may be because she was from England, and the culture and the sweetness that she had was just flowed out of her. She was very kind and soft-spoken, and I just was a pleasure to know her, so I just wanted to say that.
thank you, Carol. Oh, Bill?
As long as Andrea's okay. These are the things I remember to keep my mother's name alive. I remember beautiful times of going to New York City, many times from Rockefeller. I'm speaking as loud as I can. I'll lose my voice. Rockefeller Center and the gorgeous Christmas lights of the city, Saks Fifth Avenue, the windows, going to England to see our relatives, how she loved to see Andrea and I play our instruments at the concerts at school, how she was adamant about me not going to Vietnam. Thank goodness the Culinary Institute of America took care of that. She was not going to let me go to Vietnam. She didn't tell us too much about the war in Europe and England, only snippets of the horror of war, of what was coming up, what was going on. She pushed us hard to become something. That's what it is. I don't know if there was a problem. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right.
Now we can push you.
Because of her, something. The support, my schooling was outstanding. I was able to come home on weekends and prepare anything I wanted. I wanted to be a lion tamer after going to the circus, and she took me to meet Clyde Beatty, the most famous lion tamer in the world, from Barnum and Bailey Circus. When all of us went to Florida and lived there, she came after me together, dragging her husband with her. From there, we made Epcot Center our home. Mother became intensely interested in everything Disney. We all got to go there numerous times, and Mom would have us get postcards from every hotel. Ask Tony about that. She helped me to get started on the Merchant Marines, working on the ships, which was my greatest joy. How she would always come down to Port Everglades to pick me up on my oil tanker days. Her condo in Boynton, which I eventually took over after my divorce, and she came here to the lakes. We spent 23 years of celebrating every holiday wholeheartedly, and everyone had to come, like Andrew said. Luckily, most of us were nearby. She lived her life so strong and made us appreciate all that was shown to us. She always got deep into things like her beautiful lawn in New Jersey. I think her mother gave her that. Her mother had a beautiful garden in England. I only appreciated these qualities later, but sorrowfully, family is gone. The family is gone, and we will be no more of these celebrations. Just as memory and memories is how I will keep her alive in me. That's it.
That's good, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. The oldest daughter. I have a mine is very short. I can take the time to do what they did, and I did, but they're beautiful tributes. Anyway, I just wanted to remember a few things that my mom did for me, and like when I was in elementary school, I remember she gave me ballet lessons, and I really liked that a lot. Didn't continue to be a ballerina, but I liked that ballet. Anyway, and she fixed my. Right now they're a mess, but I had Bucky. They used to tease me in school, Bucky Beaver. Aww. So she provided the braces for me, and I was really thankful for that because I didn't want them like this all the time, you know. So that's how they looked. And then she put me in, she entered me into the Miss Lake Mohawk contest. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it.
Should have won.
Yeah.
Lake Mohawk,
Lake
Mohawk, New Jersey.
Lake Mohawk.
Yeah, she entered me, but I wasn't as graceful as some of the other contestants. But anyway, it was a very interesting experience to be in the contest and right overlooking the whole lake. That was so beautiful, and when you walk up and down. I mean, there were a lot of contestants in there. What?
In that picture right there, right below the picture is Lake Mohawk.
Oh yeah, Lake Mohawk is so gorgeous. Anyway, and I love that log cabin that she bought, and she eventually sold it on Lake Mohawk. And I remember raising our dog Coco there, beautiful brown, standard size poodle. And my mom was really into raising cats and dogs, and she cut their hair. My hair is short right now, but when I was growing up, going through school, she was a beautician. I mean, she was brought up in a beautician family, right? And she really enjoyed cutting hair and stuff like that.
And with pixies.
Yeah, I got a few bad haircuts from her.
You got a few cuts from my mother?
Bad ones.
That's when you started wearing hats, right?
With a couple ear cuts.
Yeah, she never went to beauty school. She learned it from her mom and her sister, Peggy, in England. And then also I wanted to say that my mother she actually found a recruiter for Eastern Airlines. Eastern's not anymore. But anyway, she got me the recruiter. She found a recruiter and she got me the job because I wanted to be a flight attendant. You know, at that time I just wanted to help. I thought that would be a great way to help people that you're on board. You help the passengers. But I found out later there are other ways to help people too. But anyway, so I got that job. Just lasted for a while. And anyway, more recently I wanted to tell you that, and my mom was very proud of using a flight attendant. I think that meant more to her than it did to me. But and she got to travel because I got employee discounts, and we went to Mexico City, and she loved onyx, and I remember we got a couple of onyx chess sets, and we got to cruise the markets in Mexico City, and she loved shopping in Mexico City. I was glad that I was able to contribute that to her, because she got discounted or free flight, I don't remember, but it was really worth it for her. And we went to some of the places that the mariachis are in Mexico City, and she just loves Mexico City. But anyway, and so more recently, like I was starting to say before, I was doing right where she lives, Andrew and Mom live. So people have beautiful flowers. The people that take care of the grounds there, they do a really good job. And the flowers are so colorful, and Mom, I used to push Mom in the wheelchair. She got such a delight out of simple things like colors of flowers, and looking at the trees, and she would observe what are those things that fall down from the palm trees. She didn't like that when they were
coconuts?
in the ground. No, the parts of the ferns. Or
The
whatever.
fronds.
The fronds, right. But anyway, she just loved those walks. And Andrea said, don't tell her that you're going out for a walk, right? She was just saying no. But when she got out there, she loved it. And then dominoes. That's probably one of the last things. No, actually, what?
I had a domino set. I was going to set it up.
And then I just want to say when Rachel came aboard, and I had my first child, Rachel, she helped a lot. My mother helped a lot. She really loved Rachel. She still loves her. And so that's what I wanted to say. She was a really good grandmother to Rachel. And she's helped her in many ways. Many financially. She's really done a lot for her. And dominoes, that's the last thing. I said it wasn't going to be long, but
I didn't write nothing down, but I just wanted to share a couple memories. Nana, for all people that here, knows that she was just the greatest woman that ever lived. She was just the sweetest lady until she got behind the wheel of a car. She was the worst driver. No one can compare. Like, I've seen bad drivers, and Nana is the worst driver out of them all. And she would use that excuse, Yeah, but I'd rather drive behind the wheel or in the car with Pop-Up than Nana. But anyways, we'll be driving, and she'll drive with 2 feet because of her accident. So she had a bad leg. She had to drive with 2 feet. Her foot would always be on the brakes. That woman had more brakes than anyone I knew. So anyways, she would always yell at people like, I'm 80 years old, don't yell at me. One time we were at Walgreens right by her neighborhood, and a guy walks in, he looks at me, he says, your grandma cannot drive. And she's standing right next to me, and I'm looking at him like, are you crazy, dude? Like, you don't know Nana, but I do. And she looks at him and she shoves him. She says, who are you talking to? And I look at Nana, I said, Nana, calm down. You can't do that to people. I said, she shoved him, literally shoved him. But anyways, Nana was just, she didn't let nothing get past her. She was a tough woman with how sweet she was. She threw Devin against the sliding glass door one time. She got mad at him for, we were fooling around at the table, and in England you don't do that. So we had to act polite at the table. Devin started acting up. She grabbed Devin, put him against the glass table or the glass window.
You'll never
Sam
forget
and I are
that.
cracking up, but I hate to leave mean stories, but it's just stories that make us laugh now. But without her, like I told Andrea, without her too, I wouldn't be the father I am today. And I try to be everything I am for my son and my son coming up. And I thank the Lord every day that we've had this long with her. And I'm blessed that I spent my whole life with her. I've spent a lot of memories and a lot of days. She was always there when I hurt myself. At this beach, actually, I broke my wrist. and we were having a picnic at that table, and Uncle Phil's like, "What are you doing? You're stupid. Why would you go down that hill?" And then, she would be like, "Okay, Phil, calm down. It's all right." She was always the strong woman in the family, and she was always there to protect us, and she was just our rock, and I mean, it's just been hard that she's gone, but she's here with us, and I'm just glad that we've spent so many years. She got to meet my son Blake, my wife Skyla, and that's what I'm blessed about. She got to meet her great grandson. There's not a lot of people that get to do that, so I'm blessed for that. So I'm gonna leave it at there. We love Nana. We love you all for coming. Thank you.
If anyone needs the video, this is her great grandson.
One of them.
I never knew her I never was really personal with her, but whenever we went to the family gatherings on holidays especially, she's always in her nice chair in the living room, sitting there just watching TV or listening to music. And any conversation I had with her was it just put me in such a good mood. She had the most pure heart of anyone I've ever met, and she's unlike anyone. I'm not really good for speaking, but
You're good.
yeah. I never really. That's all. I guess I'll leave it at that. I mean, the conversations we had, she was just the most sweetest lady I've ever met, and I guess, like everyone else said, she's with us now, and she's smiling down on us, and she loves each and every one of us.
I'm trying to let my mom see everything also. As everyone's always said already, my grandma, my Nana, has always been the sweetest person. She's always been there for us no matter what. We wouldn't have the life we had without her. And I haven't teared up through this whole thing because it literally hasn't hit me until now. And she'd be so happy to be here with us. And as Devin always used to say, she's such a sweet person, but when she needs to be, she's British Special Forces. I love that lady. I love that lady to the moon and back. And I just wish I spent more time with her. Andrew always used to tell us one day she's going to be gone, and one day you're going to regret the times that you didn't spend with her. And this is the only time that I regret it. But I love her to death, and I know she loves all of us and each and single every one of us. Thank you for all being here. She's literally been a big part of all of our lives in one way or another. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys are gonna have to stick with me because I'm probably the most emotional out of the three of my brothers. But I think that we all have our flaws and nobody's perfect. But I think that my grandmother, my great grandmother, she pushed everybody. I think some people couldn't deal with the amount of pressure she put on you with what she expected. Because you gotta think, you grew up in World War II. You grew up in England in World War II. You gotta be tough. Everybody comes up here and says she's sweet, but yeah, I think she's sweet, but I don't look at her like that. I look at her as someone that pushed us, and you can't be sweet all the time. It's like having a boss. You can't be sweet and be the boss. And that's what she was to our family. She was the center. She was the queen. No chess piece moved without her. And I think that back on all the times though, that I'm like, she was so mean. I'm like, I deserved it. I remember this one time she picked up a book and she goes, this is about Egypt. I loved Egypt. I enjoyed my time in Egypt, and I love the history of Egypt. And I was, if any of you know me, I wasn't a good kid. I was stubborn, still am. I didn't listen, and I told her I wasn't going to read the book. I said, I don't want to read the book. I've never seen an 80-year-old lady chuck a book that quickly. She hit me in the eye, and I think ever since then, I think that she pushed so hard to get the best out of you. And that's what I needed. And like I said, nobody's perfect.
Did you read the book?
Yeah, I read the book. I read the book, and I had a little cut on my eye too from it. And she, like I said, she chucked it across her living room, like she was Tom Brady. But I also think about, I don't just think about the time she disciplined me, but I think about the times like family dinners, and she expected that. If you didn't show up, you better had a good explanation of what's going on, because like I said, she was a family person. She cared about every single one in the family, friends, didn't matter. And I've heard her say amazing things about everyone. I've heard her say bad things about everyone, you know, but like I said, it's because she pushed everybody. And if you didn't live up to her expectations, it was just like, come on, I lived through the war. I moved to America, and I'm like, I had to, she was my best friend.
Aww. That's
And I'm just pissed that I didn't get to say bye. But I know. I was sitting over there, and I have my elbows on the table, and I still get this feeling in my arm of fork just jabbing me, no elbows on the table. So I know she's still here. So I'm gonna miss her, but I know. I didn't start to break down all week. I felt like almost like a weight lifted off my shoulder, because I hated seeing her with dementia, and she wasn't herself. But I'm so thankful that Anna was around to, she got to live her life. She got to go to Jersey. She enjoyed every day like it was her last. And like you guys said, she enjoyed the small things, color of grass, color of flowers, the sky being red. Last Saturday at work, I said the sky was really red, and I said it's a sailor's sky. And this guy goes, what do you know about that? I said, I know that it's going to be a nice day tomorrow. My grandmother taught me that always.
yeah.
So I learned a lot from her, and I'm thankful that I had my great-grandmother in my life. A lot of people don't even have their grandmother or their grandfather in their life. So I'm just thankful. And I know she's still here. And like I said, I felt relieved, because I knew she was hurting. I knew she was sad. She's such an independent person. I think she's the strongest woman I have ever heard. I've read a lot of history books. I think that she's so strong. Most independent woman ever. And I think that anyone can testify to that today. But I love her, and I'm sure everyone here, she loved so much. She had so much love in her heart. It was insane. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys.
Yeah, she always used to say that. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning, or something like that. And then whenever we were eating our soup, she would say, always little ships go out to sea. Put your spoon out, not in towards you.
Say anything, you could say it now, or if you want to later on, you think of something you're more than welcome to.
Yeah.
Should we go?